Fuck, are the servers down? Bobby, I'm sorry for whatever you're experiencing right now. Yeah. I have one of Maddie too. Hey, I tell you what, if she makes you post that on the Ohana board, make sure you post this one. You ready? I got you. 1 second. Oh, yeah. Actually, you shouldn't have said that. You done fucked up. No, that's Madeline if she right there.
We were on FaceTime.
What in the fuck? That actually is you. That's your body and that's your
Hey, love you.
Later.
Bye.
What did you even want to talk about? We'll be taking the servers down in 30 minutes to prepare for season 11. I can't play anymore. In 30 minutes. They're down. This was at 10:22 p.m. Fuck, man. Are they down for the rest of the night? At 10 a.m. PST local. Yeah, it's not going to be open until fucking 1 o'clock tomorrow. Oh. Can I play single player? Is that a thing? There's no way to do it. That sucks, dude. You can use control in a game to edit video settings.
Bot Rix has correctly joined the channel.
Oh, dude. Nobody's on right now. Fuck. You laughed really hard at that. Ah. Let me see if I can stop. Man.
I have an ass in my chat again.
Are the servers?
I'm missing a life charm. They are indeed, sir. We are serverless. Nomads on a journey with no destination, friend. We wait for the day we can play again. Add Cyber is the game with guns. Is there a way to play single player? Not really anymore, unless you already had like a season 10 pluggy folder downloaded prior. And you didn't like update it at all when you updated the main game. Like, the reason I can play is I split my folders apart, so they're separate folders. Oh, when you double cast that, it's just like more annoying than anything. Did you guys see Trans LFS rip message earlier? Wait, what? No. That was you? That's funny. Ooh. Oh, Hakishu. Thank you for the prime. Thank you so much, friend. That's very kind of you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate that. This build's pretty good. Adding single player tomorrow? They should be. I assume so. Played single player mod PD2. I think it was called Ascension. There's a Reawakened, but I don't think you get demand.
Man, that's
good content deserves. Oh, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it. It's very kind of you. Oh God, what happened?
Oh, fuck me.
Light traps or Sentinel Fury? I think good. I just like light traps. Oh. Oh. Mr. Petrov, thank you for the tier 1 sub, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. It's very kind of you guys. Thank you for the support. I appreciate it. Thank you guys for the follows and everything as well. Thank you very much. Thank you guys. You're sharing your wise words? Oh, of course. Anytime. I like helping people with games, man. I like talking.
Against tier list for 2C Classic. Rogue, Warlock, Mage. I make a druid? That could be a play. Man. Don't you want your show, babe? You having fun on your phone? Okay. Oh, this guy's got nothing. Okay. Hot Ripper or Rippin' Hots? What? Okay. Fucking stupid. I spit all over himself. Hot Ripper or Rippin' Hots?
Not sounds like you're taking a fart or you're taking a shit or something.
Hot Ripper?
I don't like that either.
Choose.
Don't like either.
Hots and Dots?
I don't like it. No.
Dots and Hots?
Gross.
Listen, ma'am.
You're either taking a fat shit or you're farting on somebody, so no, I don't like that.
I mean, yeah. Probably.
What server was it?
It was a different game. um... What'd you say? Donut? No. No. No to the donut. Alright, what's my druid's name gonna be? I don't fucking know. I don't fucking know. Doesn't fit. Try again. I don't know. I could put that, but I really don't want to. Hots and dots. Dots and hots. Dotty dotty. Rippin' hots. Rippin' ass. Nerd Slayer. For lilac. I shift myself. I'm doing that one. That's fucking awesome. Oh, please work. I shift my Oh, it's gonna work. No, it's unavailable. Someone's got it. I shift myself Z. Damn, I can't. I shift myself. Get it? Because they can shape shift. So I shift myself. Wild kind? Don't even argue me. That's stupid. Resto espresso. That's actually funny. How about Bear Grylls? Damn it, someone took that. Fuck, man. That worked. That worked.
Once a nomadic people, the Tauren roamed the end.
What bring greetings, adventurer, and welcome to Camp Narach. News of your arrival spread quickly among the tribe. You have a promising air about you and will prove yourself to the tribe. Perhaps someday soon, you will be welcomed into the great city of Thunder Bluff. But before that can happen, you must prove yourself to my father, Chief Hawkwind. Up here on Red Cloud Mesa, we pride ourselves on keen hunting skills. Tauren hunt out of necessity and for sport. Our supply of meats has run low, and we require feathers for clothing. Hunt the nearby plain striders, and prove yourself by resupplying the village. All members of the tribe share in the harmony of life.
Oh,
We live together and work together. Our commitment to one another carries with it a high degree of responsibility. I ask of you now a humble task. My mother set out this morning to fetch water from the well to the southeast of Naracha. It has been quite some time now. Perhaps you could check on her for me while I attend to tribal matters here. I need more mana. My mana is low.
Bring about all the bad stuff.
You traveled all this way just to help an old woman? My, aren't you a keeper? I have traveled many paths through life, and these old legs lack the vigor they once had. I can still perform my duties to the tribe. Sometimes it just takes an old woman a little longer to do the task. But you look like an eager adventurer. Let's put some of that youthful vitality to the test. Take a water pitcher from the well and bring it to my son, the chief, in Camp Narache. Remember that even the most humble task can gain the recognition of elders.
I need more mana.
Ooh, we're level 2.
How may I? The Tauren of Narachi. Thank you, adventurer. You show much promise. Just a moment ago, a messenger was looking for you, adventurer. I believe she was sent by the druid trainer, Gart. If this note is from Gart, I wouldn't take long in reading its contents. A Tauren skilled in the ways of the hunt knows that his prey is not for mere trophy. The beasts of the plains provide us with a means of survival. You will make quite an impression on the elders if you can bring back some highly valued mountain cougar pelts. You can find the beasts lurking in the hills to the south. Our children need clothing and our tents need mending.
Goodbye.
Hey, you carried this pitcher back at the Great Mother's bidding, I see. Your willingness to help others and provide for the Tauren of Camp Narachi leads me to believe you would make the tribe proud in Thunderbluff someday. Your willingness to perform a humble task for the Tauren of Narach and your eagerness to learn are noble traits, adventurer. I believe one day you will be heralded in Thunderbluff as the adventurer of greatness. Before that, you must embark on the rites of the Earth Mother, of which there are 3. The first test is the rite of strength. Travel to Seer Greytongue and tell him Chief Hawkwind has sent you. You will find the Seer's abode directly to the south of Camp Narachi, tucked away in the hills.
Are you becoming an herbalist?
I need to get closer.
It's all making sense.
My man is It's too far away.
Broccoli is man-made. Really? You turn on the show? Fuck you listening to? My brother put a toothpick in my toenail.
I'm out of range. My man is low. I need to get closer. Not enough mana. It's too far away.
Yeah, you're wrong, bitch.
I'm out of range.
What?
It's too far away.
And Crave the Dragon Slayer struts.
I need to get closer. I'm out of range. Not enough mana. Chief Hawkwind sent you? Embarking on the rites of the Earth Mother is no small task. The rites of the Earth Mother are the steps a young Tauren needs to take to gain respect in Thunderbluff. First, you must pass the Rite of Strength. In this test, you must prove your bravery by slaying enemies of the tribe. Bristlebacks of Brambleblade Ravine to the east are encroaching on our tribal lands. They ambush our hunting parties and steal from the village by dark. Show your valor by slaying these villains and return to the chief in Camp Narache with their belts as proof of your deeds. It's too far away. I'm out of range. I can't cast that yet. I'm out of range. My mana is low. I need more mana.
My name is Mallbear. My name is Mallbear. Well, I have an ability called Maul, and I'm gonna shapeshift into a bear. You don't like it?
Hail, the Tauren of Narachi. Thank you for these provisions, adventurer. With your skill in the ways of the hunt, you will surely be revered in Thunderbluff someday. The battle boars of Brambleblade Ravine to the east are encroaching on our tribal hunting grounds. They are trained to be malicious by the bristleback quill boars with whom we are at war. Go and slay the vile creatures and bring back some snouts and flanks so that we can make stew for our young. Though we share a common bond, do not expect much welcome from the Night Elves. Their pride still limits their sight, but that is none of our concern. The teachings of the Earth Mother are all you must concern yourself with, and I will teach you what I know as you grow in wisdom. Return to me often, adventurer. You will find that the Earth Mother grants incredible abilities to those who are most dedicated.
Adventurer. I've heard of you, newcomer. Perhaps it is you that will help us where others have failed. We Tauren have carved a home out of this land, but not without a cost. The bristleback quill boars of Brambleblade Ravine, led by Chief Sharp-Tusk Thornmantle, have made our lives difficult with their continued war against us. I charge you to bring me the chief's head. He will be found in the ravine to the east in their makeshift village.
It's too far away. That spell isn't ready yet. That's still recharging. I need to get closer. That spell isn't ready yet. It's too far away. I can't cast that yet. That's still recharging. I can't cast that yet. That spell isn't ready yet. I'm out of range. That's still recharging.
Fuck you listening to? How would I want?
That spell isn't ready yet.
Oh, I need to put on my tournament. Sorry about that.
I love Rise Mushroom Coffee, and not just because I look good drinking it. Hello there.
Hey guys, it's Dark Humility with a last fun video I'm going to make before the launch of Season 11 Prosperity for Project Diablo 2, literally tomorrow, May 16th, 10 a.m. PT. Today, we're going to do a lightning round for my late game solo mapping tier list, where for each build, I will give as fast as possible the mercenary type and any major gear items for major gear slots that define the mercenary build for that late game build, in addition to whether or not the late game build and as a mapping build is very casual friendly or dad gamer friendly. I will give a yes or a no for that. Yes, it is friendly. No, it is not. Alright, when I say lightning round, I'm going to try to go as fast as possible. So let's see how it goes. It could be a disaster, but there's about 115 builds on this list, so maybe I'll forget some things, maybe I'll goof it up, but in general, we'll see how we do. I don't have any notes here with me. I don't have anything, no script. I'm just going to go down this list, and you guys are going to learn another very key piece of information for how to play these builds effectively, or whether or not you want to play them at all in the end game. So let's do it. Here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Begin. Nova, Act 2, Mercenary Defiance. you're going to want to use a Storm Spire with Innocence and Ferocity as a most optimal approach for either an Iron Golem, or if you're wearing, if you have an Iron Golem Infinity, or if you're wearing Infinity Staff. But you'll be wearing an Infinity though if you're wearing a Mangsong's Lesson with no Golem. Charge Bolt, you're going to be wearing an Infinity, possibly with...
Do I even want to know?
just high defense items. On the Mercenary, Act 2 Defiance as well. Oh yeah, sorry, no, dang, no, not friendly to casuals, no. Charge Bolt, also not friendly to casuals, high APM intensive. Chain Lightning, high APM intensive. Not super friendly to casuals, but at least you could play a little bit farther back, so maybe it's a little more friendly to them. It's kind of in the middle. Also, Act 2 Defiance Mercenary, Infinity. Okay, with defensive gear. Frost Nova Sorceress. Infinity is the most ideal mercenary weapon. Ideally, once again, with Ferocity Helmet and Innocence Armor, if possible. That would be the most. And of course, it is not very casual friendly. It is expensive. Frozen Orb. Frozen Orb is a bit more casual friendly, but it's still not very casual friendly. Pretty high APM just in general, moving around a lot. It's kind of intense, but not as intense as Nova, not nearly as intense as Nova. And once again, Infinity with defensive items on the Mercenary. Ice Barrage, Infinity with defensive items on the Mercenary. In addition to being kind of like Orb, which is where it is probably even less friendly than Orb, so I'm going to say no. Blizzard. Blizzard's a lot more casual friendly, as you can kind of run up to stuff, and you don't necessarily have to teleport to reposition, but for maximum monsters per minute, it is a little high APM though, and you kind of have to time your Blizzard, so no, it is not casual friendly. And once again, Infinity Act 2 Defiance Mercenary with defensive items on the Mercenary, possibly Ferocity as well to get them distracted and to cluster them up for the Blizzard. Ferocity, Innocence, Armor. Glacial Spike. Glacial Spike is kind of similar to Blizzard. Once again, ideal setup would be Infinity, Innocence Armor, Ferocity Helm on the Mercenary, on an Act 2 Defiance Mercenary. And then, of course, it is not super casual friendly. Multiple Shot Widowmaker is a lot more casual friendly, as you could kind of play it a lot slower. I'm going to actually say yes for this.
You make me happy.
Can just kind of play back and kill things despite it being kind of slow. However, the Mercenary is, once again, Infinity. Infinity, Act 2 Defiance, possibly Act 2 Blessed Aim, though, because you might need the attack rating. But usually you won't with Cold Enchant. But yeah, usually it'll be Defiance. It could be Act 2 Blessed Aim, though. Very possible. Once again, with Infinity, possibly Innocence, Ferocity, or just high defense gear such as Shaft Staff and Crown of Ages and Vampire Gaze and things like that. Cold Enchant Strafe. Cold Enchant Strafe is just like Multiple Shot. I would actually say there's no difference in anything I would say there. Cold Enchant Werebear Sorceress. Cold Enchant Werebear Sorceress, I actually prefer, for the sake of frames, you'd probably want to, you could use Infinity, Blessed Aim, especially if you're kind of lacking AR once again. But, and of course, it kind of depends though on what kind of character you're playing and whatnot. You could have, because you're a frontliner, you could have an Act 1 Mercenary with Vigor Aura. So you could have the Vigor Aura to make you run really fast. And then you could run like Faith, which can help out with some frames, but since you're a Werebear, it doesn't really help all that much. It's all attack speed from your weapon. So Infinity on the Mercenary and maybe Hustle is actually a better choice, so that you run faster with that. So that's very key to that setup. But otherwise, with the Infinity Merc, you would be running a very similar approach to the Multi-Shot and Strafe that I described before. And there you have it.
Sup, sad sacks?
My kids? No, these. Try this toasted chicken bacon ranch with melted provolone. Warm and comforting, huh? Not like my dad. New toasted sandwiches at Jimmy John's. Oh, that's good.
Combustion. Combustion is Infinity Mercenary for sure. Act 2 Defiance. However, it is very possible that you're going to want to go Flickering Flame on the helmet as a key approach, and the rest being defensive gear. As Flickering Flame has resist fire aura, which is going to help out your fire damage. No, this is not very casual friendly, as opposed to all the cold enchant builds, which are a lot more one-button builds and a lot simpler. Combustion actually requires a lot of timing for optimal gameplay. Meteor. Meteor is actually casual friendly, so is Hydra. So I'm actually going to say yes on these because you can just cast Blaze and refresh it every so often, and then otherwise it's a one-button build as you spam them. Definitely Infinity on both of these, on Hydra and Meteor. However, on the Hydra one, it'd be Infinity Act 2, possibly Flickering Flame, but you can also go Ferocity and Innocence to help crowd the monsters and to keep them off of you as you cast the Hydras. I think that might be a little bit better. Meteor is actually kind of interesting. It doesn't necessarily have to be Act 2 Defiance because there's a physical component to the damage. You can actually go Act 4 Mercenary with Infinity Staff, and then you can also go, well, Infinity Staff, Flickering Flame, but he also casts Amp, so you're going to go Act 4 Dark Mercenary. That is a real possibility there, and then you get both damage types represented. However, if you're going to cast Blaze and move it around, the Act 4 Merc might have problems surviving. Just make sure to give it as much defensive gear as possible. Inferno Sork is definitely Flickering Flame and Infinity on an Act 2 Defiance Mercenary. This is pretty casual friendly as it's pretty simple to play. There is some teleporting involved though. I'm going to say yes though. It's pretty good, even in the late game. Vengeance Kingslayer. Melee Sorks in general require a little bit more knowledge about how to build a character and how to play it effectively so you don't die. So I'm going to say it's not very casual friendly. Also, it's a little complicated, definitely from the build standpoint. We did just test this season after all. And then, of course, the Act 2 Defiance or Blessed Aim. Blessed Aim might be even more possible here because Cold Enchant isn't as pronounced, but it's still pretty good. So I would say probably Act 2 Defiance, Infinity, and definitely Ferocity and Innocence. Ferocity Helmet and Innocence Armor definitely helping a lot there if you can get them. On this character, the passive Sork, yeah, you're definitely going to want an Infinity Mercenary, or it's very possible you can also go Infinity Iron Golem and Stormspire Merc, but the Iron Golem's probably going to die because you don't do enough damage, so definitely Infinity Defiance on the Mercenary, or sorry, yeah, on the Mercenary with Ferocity and Innocence if possible for that Confused proc. Very nice stuff. Alright, on to the Druid builds. Twister and Tornado are pretty noob friendly. Pretty one-button builds, just got to cast Gust and then Twister Tornado. I'm going to say they're pretty casual friendly. Not the most casual friendly in the world, but they're pretty good. You have two main options on these, so you can go an Act 1 Mercenary with Wrath in the late game. Obviously, amp bows all the way up to that. With Physical Arrow, and that's going to cast Strafe and cast as much amp as possible in front of you so that the Twisters and Tornadoes do maximum damage. Of course, the rest of the Mercenary will focus on reaching 100% Pierce and getting defensive gear. However, the other option is an Act 5 Mercenary, which I really enjoy, wearing an Innocence Armor, a Cyclopean Roar Helm, and possibly a Vile Husk or a Gavel of Pain for Amp proc and Battle Cry proc on a Battle Orders Whirlwind Act 5 Mercenary. Once again, the Innocence Blade Shield procking them all. Really amazing approach as well. But for that, you're definitely going to be tele-stomping more, whereas like the Act 1 Vigor Mercenary can allow you to play a bit farther back. So it's preference-based. Arctic Blast Hurricane. Yeah, this is pretty noob friendly. There is something else you're going to have to refresh with this, just like with Twister Tornado, which is Hurricane. But overall, it's pretty noob friendly. Not too many buttons. Of course, you might have to revive your zoo with some of these, so it's a little, I don't know, I'd say these are definitely more mid builds. They're definitely like in between casual friendly and not casual friendly, but they're also not super intense. Any of these really. I mean, even like Molten Boulder, Fissure, Volcano, they're not like super intense. You just cast and move on for the most part. So I'd say they're kind of like in the middle between casual and not. So, but anyway, Arctic Blast, Hurricane, you're gonna want to go Innocence, Ferocity, and Infinity if you could afford it on the Mercenary in the endgame for clustering up the monsters. On an Act 2, Defiance, Mercenary. Molten Boulder. Molten Boulder has hybrid fire physical damage, so it kind of depends on what you want to achieve. I actually really like the Act 4 Dark Mercenary with the Infinity Staff, though, and the Flickering Flame Helmet, and the rest being defensive and cast rate gear, just like on the Meteor Sword. That's also very possible. And then, let's see, so Fissure, Volcano. So Fissure is definitely Act 2 Defiance Mercenary with Flickering Flame, and the rest being defensive gear. Volcano can be the Act 4 Mercenary approach like that I just discussed on the Molten Boulder. It can also be Act 2 Defiance with Infinity and Flickering Flame as well. Oh, alright, keep going. Bear Shockwave. I actually think this is a very noob friendly build. You just run up to stuff and kill things with Shockwave. Amazing stuff, very good for casuals, noobs, or anyone just playing for the first time, doesn't really matter. Very easy to execute. You just turn into a bear and start running around and shockwaving things, using Hunger if you want some fast run walk, pretty easy. I definitely think the more dominant approach here is probably Act 1 Mercenary and Vigor, so you can run as fast as you possibly can, and then get an amp bow, so Wrath, and then the rest of the Mercenary being focused on defensive gear for the most part. You could also definitely do the Act 5 Mercenary, Whirlwind Mercenary thing with the Battle Cry and the amp weapon, the Battle Cry from Cyclopean Roar. Rabies. Rabies are going to use the Pus Spitter on an Act 1 Mercenary, physical Mercenary, and it's going to cast lower resist as much as possible. Or, I actually kind of think these days, the Act 5 Mercenary with Rapture weapon and Innocence armor can be very good as well. The Innocence armor also being very good on the Pus Spitter Act 1 Mercenary, but you gotta be careful because she's squishy, so you're gonna have to get a lot of damage reduction elsewhere if you're gonna play it like that. I do think Rabies is kind of casual friendly. It's pretty one button, and it's very tanky, so that's pretty good. Fire Claws. Fire Claws, you're gonna go Infinity, Act 2 Defiance Mercenary. It's possible you need attack rating though, so Blessed Aim is always on the table there. And then of course you're going to use Infinity weapon, and you're going to use Flickering Flame Helmet most likely for that extra flat % fire damage boost. And I think it's pretty casual friendly. It's pretty simple to execute. Same thing with any wolf build, honestly, pretty simple to execute. Even bear builds. Bear builds are a little tougher to execute, but I don't know, they're kind of mid, but they're also pretty casual friendly. I mean, you got like Feral Rage going on, but it's not too crazy. Anyway, so wolf with Fury. Fury's going pretty hard. I guess we do for the Mercenary. I think it makes most sense on Fury to go with a Act 2 Mercenary with Blessed Aim, Pride, and Templar's Might, so you can get that aura bot that follows you as you crush things, so that's pretty useful. The Twister proc one that was back to that amp weapon, Cyclopean Roar, Innocence, Act 5 Whirlwind Mercenary, as that's going to definitely, the negative physical res buffs are going to do the most on that. But these are pretty good for casuals though. Maul and Multiple Shot Maul, very similar. Maul is the exact same as Fury. Bear, Multiple Shot Maul is also kind of the same thing as Fury. But because it's maybe a little bit more dependent on negative Fizz res, you could also consider dropping auras in favor of that Act 5 negative Fizz res proc mercenary as well in the end game. All right, summons. You definitely have the choice between, in my opinion, the Wrath Amplify Bow Act 1 mercenary with Vigor Aura, so that your summons are more responsive and you get that all-pervasive amplify damage, along with Might Aura from the Templar's Might. You can also, of course, go a Might Concentration Act 5 mercenary with the Innocence, Cyclopean Roar, Amp Weapon combo as well, particularly if you're tele-stomping with these builds. Poison Creeper. I definitely feel like the Act 5 Rapture Mercenary would definitely be ideal, once again with Innocence and possibly with Ferocity as well, to keep the monsters busy as you teleport around, or you run around with the wolf and cast the creepers on top of the monster packs. Very cool stuff. Alright, let's continue. We got Chain Lightning Sentry. You're gonna go with oh, by the way, a Poison Creeper can be pretty casual friendly. It's a little tougher though if you're teleporting around. Almost forgot that. Chain Lightning Sentry is casual friendly despite being slow. It is pretty easy to execute. Traps are pretty easy to execute in general, particularly the Chain Lightning Sentry and the Wake of Fire. The other one's a little tougher just because they have less range, so I'd actually say they're not casual friendly. All the way down to Ice Blast. That's kind of my opinion. Fire Blast and Shockweb are not as casual friendly. The other ones are, and for the most part. And of course, on all these builds, you're going to be going an Act 2 Defiance Infinity Mercenary. On the fire versions of the build, you're going to have Flickering Flame on the Mercenary as well. The other ones, you might want to go Ferocity, Innocence, and then if it's Flickering Flame, you just go Defense on the rest of the Act 2 Defiance Mercenary. You go down to Death Sentry though. The Mercenary is actually going to be wearing Innocence and Viper Fork because that's very key to the build. You just jump into the monsters with Dragonflight and then cast the Desecrate, which allows you to cast Death Sentry and blow up the monsters. So on that, you're definitely going to do that. Ferocity is also really good for keeping the monsters busy on this. So Ferocity, Innocence, Viper Fork is pretty nice on this particular approach. And I guess I'd go Act 2 Defiance because that makes the most sense, of course. And then, of course, Blade Fury. Blade Fury, I definitely feel like I definitely think an Innocence, Cyclopean Roar, Amp Weapon, Might Mercenary, so the Concentration Mercenary is going to work really well here. As long as you're jumping into the monster packs with Dragonflight and shredding them with Fury. Super fun stuff. Then also, you can run... oh yeah, sorry. It is pretty casual friendly, I would say. It's pretty one button. 2 button. In general, martial arts are pretty casual friendly, except I would say for Phoenix Strike and to some degree... maybe Fists of Fire if you're playing them ultra optimally, but you don't have to play them super optimally. So it kind of depends on how much you want to optimize them. If you want to optimize them at only the second charge and move on to the next pack, it can take an approach that is a lot less casual, but it kind of depends on what you're doing. But anyway, Blade Sentinel will be the exact same mercenary as Blade Fury. All of these, all the way down for the most part, are going to be Infinity Act 2 Defiance, perhaps with, sorry, not Tiger Strike, all the way down to Blades of Ice. And then, of course, Ferocity and Innocence on the Mercenary. They're also like semi-casual, as I just explained. That being said, on the Fist of Fire one, you're going to run Flickering Flame on the helmet, Mercenary helmet, which is really good. And then on Cobra Strike, you're going to run Rapture Mercenary for that lower resist proc. Rapture, Innocence, and Ferocity if possible, which is really cool. And then the other thing is on Claws of Thunder or Phoenix Strike, you could actually run an Infinity Iron Golem and consider running Storm Spire Innocence Ferocity Mercenary instead. So that's another interesting aspect of all that. But yeah. And then on Tiger Strike, you should probably... it does depend on a couple things, but for the most part, I think you're running the Act 5 proc Cyclopean Roar, Battle Cry, Amp procs, and Innocence Mercenary. And then on Dragon Tail and Talon, since it's like hybrid fire damage and physical damage, you could definitely consider running an Act 4 Mercenary with Act 4 Dark Mercenary with Amp and the Amp and the Conviction from the Infinity Staff, and then also running Flickering Flame on it as well in defensive gear. Mind Blast Psychic Hammer. This one, I definitely think Act 5 Mercenary is definitely the winner with the Cyclopean Roar, Innocence, and Amp weapon combo to get maximum negative Phys Res debuff. And then, of course, being on a Whirlwind Mercenary because you don't need the Might Aura. And it is pretty casual, yeah. It's a super simple build actually to play. So is Dragon Tail Talon, by the way, and Tiger Strike. I'd say these are all pretty simple. They're at least semi-casual. Mind Blast is totally casual, though. That one's easy. These are really simple, too. One-button builds, highly casual builds, as long as you can get the setup for them. The Blade Dances. In general, most important thing for these is to get those aura buffs off the mercenary. So I do tend to recommend the concentration aura, might aura, blessed aim mercenary. In other words, the Act 2 blessed aim for the deadly strike, and the Templars might for the might aura, and pride for the damage weapon, and the rest of course is defensive on those builds. Okay, let's keep going. Double Swing and Frenzy. So most bar builds in general are just physical damage builds. So for the most part, you're going to want damage auras until you get to Warcry, where Warcry would be something like an Innocence Reaper's Mercenary for like that instant amp. So Innocence, Reapers, and Ferocity for a bit more survivability. Or, of course, once again, that Act 5 Mercenary, where you go Cyclopean Roar, Innocence, and Amp weapon, Amp on striking weapon, of course, on a Whirlwind Mercenary, because you don't need Might. And that one, of course, Warcry, I'd say, is pretty easy to execute, but you do have to teleport, and you kind of have to time your teleports to not run out of teleports in the end game. So I would say not super casual friendly, but it's also not insanely complicated or hard because it's pretty tanky. Kind of depends. The rest of the physical builds that are not the elemental builds, so I'll talk about the fire builds, or if you want to run Stormspire or whatever you want to run on the Barbarian, there's other possible elemental builds. But on any of the other physical builds, you're looking at, for the most part, some kind of damage aura combination. So on the Wolf Barb, for instance, you would run Pride, Templars, on Act 2 Blessed Aim, or Act 2 Defiance Mercenary if you want the more defensive approach. The same thing would go for Whirlwind as well at every stage. Double Swing and Frenzy actually kind of depends. You can run an Act 5 Mercenary with Might, Whirlwind, so like you could run Templars on a Whirlwind Mercenary with Beast as well for Fanaticism, so that you can hit those really important breakpoints. And then yeah, basically, so like Beast, Templars, and the rest being defensive gear, you could totally run that, or Beast, Templars, and Cyclopean Roar, and you'll still get a decent amount of that. In a sense, on Double Swing Frenzy, you tend to be able to proc Amp a bit better. You can definitely run that, so that tends to be a pretty good approach. I do think most of these builds are pretty simple to play. Warcry is probably one of the more complicated ones, so I actually like the Barb for the simplicity, and I actually rate them A+ in the casual territory for the most part. Fire Whirlwind, though, it's gonna be so. Oh, actually, let's go to Double Throw. So double throw fanaticism might is actually really good. You could even use an Act 1 mercenary for vigor if you want to run really fast on it. I like the Act 5 one because you can also get the battle cry on striking from Cyclopean Roar, and you can also get the double auras, the fanaticism from Beast and the might from Templars on a Whirlwind mercenary, and then you get like 2 sources of potentially a battle cry, which is really good. And of course, I do consider this to be a pretty solid build just in general. But yeah, you could also run Faith Mercenary as well, Faith Might Mercenary, with the rest being defensive gear on an Act 1 Vigor Aura Mercenary. But that approach is a little sketchier, but it's really good for if you want to run really fast, particularly in like weaker maps. Okay, let's talk a little, and then of course Leap Attack is the concentration might approach on the mercenary for the most part, because you would use Cyclopean Roar on yourself, because you can proc it really easily. You can even run Innocence on yourself to proc it as well, in addition to just using a super high powerful weapon. Now on Fire Leap Attack and Fire Whirlwind, it's a little different. For the mercenary, you're going to want to use an Act 2 Defiance or an Act 2 Blessed Aim Mercenary, depending on your attack rating situation. Fire, you definitely use Flickering Flame for the helmet. You'd use Infinity for the weapon. And that's how you would get those done. And once again, all very casual friendly, very simple builds in the end game.
You having fun over there?
Okay. Amazon, Lightning Fury. So Lightning Fury is pretty straightforward. Act 2 Defiance Mercenary with Infinity. And the rest being defensive gear is what I would suggest. Lightning Strike, very similar in that regard. You could use Ferocity and Innocence because you're going right up next to the monsters if you want that Confused proc, but
is this what you do in your free time?
Power Strike and Charge Strike are also the exact same approaches. And all of these builds, I would say, are very simple. They're all one-button builds. In general, Amazon builds are incredibly simple 1 or 2 button builds. I think kind of like with Summon Druid, which I think is like incredibly casual friendly. I definitely think that like all of the Amazon builds practically are super casual friendly, so I really like that. Pretty easy to get into as long as you have the power and whatnot and just stand back. So we'll just get that out of the way real quick. And then Plague Javelin. You could definitely run a couple of different approaches. I think the Rapture Act 5 Mercenary with Whirlwind and Innocence armor and possibly Ferocity, though, is going to be probably your top approach. That being said, Vigor can allow you to run even faster to weave in between monsters as you cast it, so I could definitely see the appeal also of the highly defensive, possibly Innocence Pus Spitter Mercenary, or an even more defensive version that uses like Shaft and just Pus Spitter with a Vigor Aura, so Act 1 Vigor Aura Mercenary. Jab Fend, you need your breakpoints on this, so it's pretty important that I would say on these builds, pretty non-negotiable to go Act 5 Mercenary, probably with, I would say Native Might, and then Innocence, Cyclopean Roar, and Amp Weapon, and then you get as many auras as you possibly can, so the Might Concentration Barb. And as long as you jump in with Zere's Resolve with that Joust cooldown, it's going to be really sick, and you're going to get all that negative Fizz Res debuff as well, so it's really good. Bow and Crossbow Tree, so once again, actually, wait, I think I botched this. I was trying to go too fast. Yeah, so you need Fanaticism on the Mercenary, my bad. So you're probably gonna go you could go like Fanaticism, Innocence, Cyclopean Roar, so you could go like Beast on the Mercenary if you want. I don't think an Act 4 Mercenary would survive, so don't worry about that. But like an Act 5 Mercenary, like an Act 4 Dark Mercenary for Amp. But yeah, you definitely need the Beast. The Beast weapon would be pretty sick on this, and yeah. And then of course the Might Aura, so you get Might Aura from either Native, Barbarian Concentration, or you get it from Templars, and then you go Whirlwind with BC, or you get the battle cry from Cyclopean Roar, and then more so from Innocence. And then you have like the native might. The non-native might, of course, would use the Templar's might. So it just kind of depends. I'd say either approach is pretty good on those builds. All right, let's go back. Oh man, I knew I'd scuff something. All right, multiple shot strafe. All right, multiple shot strafe. It's definitely fanaticism, might, vigor, or Act 1 mercenary. You're gonna want to run as fast as possible, and you're gonna want Act 1 to give you that beast and the might from either Templars. Well, actually no, it'd be sorry, Act 1 would be faith and Templars. Damn, I'm getting so mixed up now. Dang, come on, we gotta focus. It'd be fanaticism from faith, and then be Templar's might, and then the rest of the gear would be for defensive on the Act 1 mercenary. I really like that for running really fast, but let's say you're in a tough map, it might make more sense to actually go beast Templars, or beast on a might concentration barb that then also has like Innocence and Cyclopean Roar for casting Battle Cry, or it's just native on the Whirlwind one that also uses Cyclopean Roar. So you do tend to run pretty fast even without Vigor, so there's definitely a good argument for using that, especially against like harder areas like cows potentially. So that's a really good thing to consider. Freezing Arrow, Cold Arrow, Fire Arrow, Exploding Arrow. For the most part, if you want to run fast while also having your negative res, you'll go Act 2 Defiance or Blessed Aim, I guess, if you're struggling in the AR department. But you'll go Defiance with Infinity, and for the fire ones, you'll use Flickering Flame on the helmet. If not, you'll just use defensive items on the mercenary. Possibly you could do Innocence, Ferocity just for fun as well, but it won't really matter that much. But you could definitely do those on all those approaches. Magic Arrow is actually quite interesting. Magic Arrow has... I definitely think it's important on Magic Arrow for the Mercenary to be in front of you, though, for that Sanctuary Aura. And so the Sanctuary Aura does not have high radius, so you're going to want that in front of you on the front line. So I think for the most part, you're looking for probably a Asylum Act 5 Mercenary, maybe even with Heavenly Garb for even a higher level Sanctuary Aura on top of that. And then the rest being defensive gear. Definitely with that Whirlwind on the Act 5 Mercenary, it makes a lot of sense. You don't need Might though, so you could just use the Whirlwind on that. I guess the other choice would be Act 2 Defiance with Asylum Spear, and then you could also go the rest. Possibly you could go like Innocence, Ferocity for keeping the monsters clustered up for the more limited AoE as well. But either way, I'd say those are pretty good approaches. The Act 5 could also use Innocence, Ferocity as well if you don't care for the extra levels from Heavenly Garb. But those would definitely be the top approaches, I would say, on that. Passive and Magic Tree. So for the most part, I would say on the Valkyrie Strafe one, you're definitely going to want Vigor Aura and Fanaticism. So back to the Act 1 Vigor Aura Mercenary with Faith and Templars for Might, and the rest being defensive gear. And then pretty similar, I would say, on the pure Decoy Summon, but on the Decoy Summon, they don't really move around, so you don't really need Vigor Aura as much. I actually think the Act 5 Mercenary, back to that Amp Weapon Cyclopean Roar Innocence approach, will actually be really good as long as it's a Whirlwind Mercenary whirling in front of you and hitting all those negative res points, so it should be really sick. Let's see, Poison Nova. Poison Nova Desecrate, these are definitely builds where ideally you're going to be using a Act 5 Mercenary using a Rapture weapon, Innocence, and Ferocity. The same will be for Poison Strike as well, especially Poison Strike for that Confuse. If you can get that on the Mercenary, would be really sick. Teeth I actually really like. There's definitely a couple of good approaches here. I definitely think the
Spark your next big video idea with Motion Array's AI voiceover.
I am the perfect voice for your video. Pick me. I know how to get a message.
Boring. You need me. I'm the only one that can engage
In
you.
a world.
The Act 5 Whirlwind Mercenary with Asylum and Heavenly Garb is going to do really well because it jumps out in front of you. But because you tend to jump out right in front of the monsters on this one sometimes just to smash them with teeth, as long as you're using Blood Warp right in front of the monsters, you can justify using an Act 4 Light Mercenary as well. And because of Blood Warp, the healage from the Holy Nova on the Act 4 Light Merc is really good. So I actually think that's a very unique use of that mercenary, which is really cool. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, Poison Nova is not for casuals. We have to go back to... I forgot I did like a catch-all for the Amazon. Desecrate is more for casuals. You can stand a bit further back. Poison Strike is definitely not for casuals. That's a tough build and can be a tough playstyle as well. Kind of like Nova. Teeth is definitely friendly to casuals, so is Bone Spear. Pretty far back, pretty easy to play. No kind of problems. By the way, Bone Spear, same recommended mercenary as Teeth potentially, or at least the 2 recommended mercenaries. I really like the idea because of Blood Warp eating your life on the Necromancer using the Act 4 Light Mercenary. That has that base Sanctuary aura, so that's really cool. Definitely a good idea. Bone Wall, I actually recommend no mercenary. Well, I'm half kidding and half not, actually. To be fair, like, you don't really need one, and it might get in the way. But let's say you did want a mercenary. I'd want a mercenary that probably buffed you up defensively as much as possible. Something like an Act 3 mercenary with a lightning static field would be good, because the static field would lower all their HP. Or something that gave you like Cleansing or Prayer Act 3 Merc, and those tend to hold pretty close to you because they cast, so that would probably be best actually. So another very creative use of an endgame mercenary, possibly Act 3 or none. Don't need that. Watch the video and you'll see what I mean. I'd say Bonewall actually is kind of casual, but there is like a curse involved in it, and it's a little more... Actually, a Nas scratch that. It's a little tough to play. I'm gonna say not casual friendly actually. Corpse Explosion, not casual friendly. Way too button spammy. Way too many buttons. There's like 3 buttons you have to do in succession, and sometimes 4. That one could be kind of nasty. That being said, Corpse Explosion. Typically, you're gonna just want that Infinity Act 2 mercenary. With Flickering Flame as well for that fire damage boost. You could, of course, justify so that you don't have to cast any curses yourself, which tends to be the most prominent approach. You can use the Act 4 Mercenary with Infinity Staff and Amp, so the Dark Mercenary. I really like that approach on Corpse Explosion, actually, as well. It kind of depends how defensive you want to be, but... The thing about the Act 4 Mercenary is you can get away with it pretty easily on this build because you have max revives, so it's pretty easy. I really like it. Physical Skelly Summon, definitely gotta probably, well, see, you could have like a Concentration or an Iron Golem, and in the case of doing that, you can justify going Cyclopean Roar, Templar's Might, and Beast on an Act 5 Whirlwind Barb. So that could be a really good approach, and I think that's how you get like the maximum buffs and debuffs that you possibly can with a Concentration Iron Golem. That's what I like to do. Summoners tend to be really friendly for novices. Green Goblin positioning is really important, so I don't know how casual friendly it is, but it's not insanely button intensive, so I'd say it's like okay for casuals. It's a bit more intensive though. Anyway, for the Mercenary, though, this is pretty unique. The Mercenary is the build. It uses Innocence and Demon Machine for proccing multi-shot, and then the rest of the Mercenary is literally just trying to max out its damage. And so that means getting max Pierce and just max damage, and yeah, fun stuff. Summoner Pure Revive. And so on this one, you're going to want to use things that boost the power of your revives. So the Act 5 Mercenary Aura Bot that also casts Battle Cry and Amp, or Battle Cry would actually be pretty good. So Fanaticism Might Battle Cry combo on the Act 5 Merc, we've talked about a few times now. With Whirlwind is going to be really strong. And then of course you can get the amp on yourself. So you're a necromancer, so you just amp the monsters, amp plus decrep even. So you can go pure revive, amp plus decrep, and then maybe even a concentration iron golem, and then you get beast, and then you get templars and cyclopean roar, and you have all kinds of ultra strong revives. It should be a lot of fun. Elemental summoner, conviction. So Act 2, Defiance, Infinity, probably Flickering Flame for fire skillies, so, or especially for council members, so I could definitely see that being very useful. If you have somehow an Infinity Iron Golem, though, you could use a Stormspire Mercenary for those lightning LE revives.
There's a lot of supplements out there, and so it can be difficult to find those that actually deliver results that you can feel.
My name is Ben Green.
It's going to be on Sunday afternoon.
Look at that, my God.
Yeah, a lot of stats. There's so many possible ways the game could turn out now that you really have to come in with like a huge range of play.
Well, I think that's something both these guys can do. We know Soulkey has probably the biggest range of every single player. He mixes in absolutely everything. So when you ask, oh, which style are we going to see? Well, how many games are we going to see? I wouldn't be surprised if we see, let's say it goes 7 games. I bet you we see 5 completely different styles out of him. I bet you have like 2, 3 Hatch Hydra builds and then like 5 just random different stuff.
Yeah, like 2 Hatch Layer, and then
who knows?
Slow. Yeah, macro. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different things you can do in the matchup, man. All right, well, we're going to start this off on Metropolis. It'll then be Eclipse, Dominator, Death Valley, Deja Vu, Polestar, and Radeon if we do get to map 7. And guys, we're ready to do this. Let's find out who's going on to face off against Best, the finals of the ASL. Okay, in the upper right here is Snow, in the bottom right is Soulkey. As always, guys, consider signing up for the Patreon. We wouldn't be able to do this without you guys. This is kind of the where the internet's at, you know? It's the fans can connect directly with the creators. If you want, it's a forge opening if you scout with the probe after the pylon. It's a forge opening if you scout with the probe after the pylon instead of after the gateway.
And he'll find
I think that there's a chance that Snow wanted to just go for Nexus first, too. That's another alternative way to play. You know, we talk about Forge first and Cannons, but you can also scout them and then try to just play into a greedy Nexus. So he's going to make the Forge later because he can time it out exactly when the Cannon's going to finish and just have a couple extra minerals mined there from that probe back at home. And he's going to be going with that more modern Wallin, the one where the Forge is pushed back and the gateway is pushed forward. And it's kind of funny to see the Wallins change in this game. You know, every once in a while, you think things in Brood War are kind of set in stone, and then someone starts to do something and everybody copies it. And, you know, the Forge at the entrance of the Protoss's base has always been a bit of a dilemma because you need to get +1 attack and you eventually need to get the 2 armor upgrades. But, you know, Hydras can run up with range and shoot it down. So what's happened now is they put the Forge back so that it can be surrounded by cannons. And they're very willing to lose the gateway. They don't care because the gateway can be remade. The gateway's not upgrading anything. And that's why you see, for instance, in this position, the cannon above the Forge instead of behind it.
You know, once you said that, I've seen it everywhere. It's one of those things where, like, I feel like every single PvZ I cast right now on my private channel or here, it's like exactly as you said. Everyone's really going out of their way to protect that Forge. Who cares about the gateway? And it's done well for people. You know, it feels like PVZ is in an okay position. You know, we definitely have times where metas shift and matchups seem really tough. Like right now, Terran vs. Zerg seems very tough. And in the past, we've definitely had times where Protoss vs. Zerg seemed really, really tough. But it seems like in a very good spot right now. We have several styles on both sides. We have a wide variety of players doing well in it. And yeah, I just think it feels like it's in a good place. And these little things built on, like protecting your forge really well, really help to work towards that.
So in this game, you know, it's going to be a bit of a slow start. He did have some probes to block. By the way, in case you guys saw, the probe was attacking the forge. The reason why you do that is that it's much harder for the Lings to kill that probe. If you have probes just sitting there and Lings attack them, the probe like gets pushed out of the way. And so it'll create an opening. Whereas if you make it attack one of your own structures, it won't move even if Lings attack it. So that's the reason why he does that. And from here on out, it's up to Snow to run around with the probe and basically try to identify, is there any kind of rush, any kind of cheese, anything weird coming my way? You know, do I see Hydras thrown down? Do I see, like for instance, Ling speed? Is that done? That means he might be trying to hide some kind of attack.
Yeah, and I want to just expand on what you said just for a moment for people that don't get it. Because there's a gather and return cargo on the command card for workers, they don't have hold position, and they don't have patrol. So those two things have been taken off. They can be given those commands if selected with other units, but before that Zealot's out, it's the only way to make sure the probe doesn't move.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a weird thing. The probe can hold position, but it has to be done from the command card of another unit like a Zealot. And so it's like one of those, like, if you don't know, you're never going to do it. This game is just rich with all sorts of little secrets. And so he's going to go for the Stargate. This is all very standard. He is rushing forward with the 2 Zealots. And I think he's going to try to run up the ramp. Now, there's no Ling speeds. These Lings, excuse me, are not that scary. He wants to come down here. He's going to spot the Lair and the Spire. And it looks like he wants to try to dive in on some drones. No, never mind. He's going to try to run around to the other side of this.
Oh, nice control. I thought he was going to get one of those surrounded, but actually gets him back behind the minerals. So that'll be a bit annoying for Sulky to deal with.
You got a second win there, man.
And notice how he waits to kill one so he can surround the other. Really good control there from Sulky. Runs away the drones at the natural as that Zealot comes in for some hits as well. So hasn't lost any workers as of yet, but obviously a lot of Zerglings being taken down.
An hour.
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised this is going this well here for Snow. Like, I feel like Sulky's probably the best in the world at never getting into this position, but here we are. The Zealots are being fractioned off into different directions, and they're taking really good fights with the Lings.
Well, still harassing the drones over here as well. That's going to be very, very annoying to deal with. And in fact, Sulky's decided to just fight with those drones. Has to be careful not to lose any here. I love it. I love it going back behind those minerals, making it harder for the drones to actually fight. And look at that. That's like a lot of lost mining time. Oh, God. He runs in with Speedlings, gets around the cannon immediately here. A little bit dangerous, trying to go up to the main base. Great probe blocking. But 4 Speedlings get in. That is dangerous.
Yeah, you know, it's one of those things where Sulky's so smart. He just knows, oh, you're probably not going to have this area blocked, so I can just come here with a huge counterpunch, which is exactly what he did. The Corsair is going to turn around. They did get 1 kill on the Overlords. And these Lings are here for now. I mean, it's going to be very hard to get rid of them. He's making cannons over here in the kind of center of his base. But this is a lot of lost mining time. Meanwhile, Mutalisks are out. Don't forget that with no cannon finished, I mean, the Mutas could come in there and actually start to kill probes, especially if they can take that cannon out before it's done.
Kind of a dirty position right now. The Scourge come in, do pick off a Corsair. The Mutas helping to get that cannon as well. And he's going to be able to kill this Corsair. Dude, Sulky has made this game dirty so quickly here. Very chaotic position here for Snow to try to hold.
Yeah, the 3 Mutas are still hitting that cannon. I think it's going to be enough damage. They can take it out. The Scourge will. Are they going to connect them to that Corsair? Great control by Snow. But there's no cannons over this position right now. If he can't get a couple cannons up here, there's nothing that you can do. I mean, the Mutas will eventually just win this fight. The Scourge are enough of a threat that the Corsair can never really sit and actually fight the Mutalisks. Now we have 2 Scourge out here. So, I mean, I'm worried that Snow might just die here, Artosis.
Yeah, he made that emergency Dragoon, which is never a good sign for Protoss when you have to make a Dragoon early. And Sulky is just leaning on him. These types of games are so frustrating to play, but when you see them executed, Like, damn, man, Sulky has just, like, jumped on Snow. He had that little bit of tempo advantage, and he's finishing him off right now.
I think we're almost done, Artosis.
Yeah.
I just don't see a world where you recover. There's enough Mutalisks out here that they can kill the damage. They can, you know, shoot them down before they can actually finish. And you were right when you pointed out that Dragoon. Like, it's never good when you see a Dragoon made before, like, there's a Templar out, usually. In situations like this, like, but you need something that hits air, something that you can use to kind of micro in the fights.
Wow.
And that's going to be it. Snow loses. After doing a bunch of great damage, Sulky sensed weakness back at home and decided, okay, we're going to do a huge link counterattack, and we're going to never let a cannon be complete in your natural ever again.
It was so well done. You know, even just seconds later or slightly worse control, and Snow ends up holding. So just fantastic execution there from Sulky, showing again his gigantic range of play. The guy can do anything.
He's so strong, man. By the way, he really sees weaknesses in matchups where other people don't see it. Like, I think almost any other Zerg would just be back licking their wounds. But he knew, don't even chase the Zealot. There's nothing walling this in back at home. There's no Zealot. The second Zealot pops out, not enough. The Lings come through, and they dogpile on the cannon and then run right up the ramp. And it's like, this is sometimes all you need, because the threat of the Lings in the main may cause a weakness over here at the natural later. And so he's just being enough of a headache, just enough of a nuisance that he was able to basically remove Protoss from the mid game before we ever got to a proper PvZ.
And Snow was still pretty on top of things. He pulled back that one Corsair. Looks like this one got pulled back as well. But yeah, he didn't get the extra cannons up in time. If he had like 2 more cannons, he would have been really far ahead. Like, I think he would have probably ended up winning, because Sulky was super low on drones here. He had 1 drone at his natural this entire time. He was mining from 2 gas. So his mineral income was almost nil.
Yeah, the Zealots in the main were trying to kill the Zerglings in the main, and so there wasn't anything to protect this one cannon. And then, you know, the Corsairs are supposed to beat Mutalisks and Scourge, but you need enough of them. And when they're coming out one at a time, the Scourge will just chase him down. There's no way to actually protect the cannon. So he even tries to come in here, kind of jukes and jives around, eventually runs back. But if there's no cannons finished here, the Mutas can just, you know, wreak havoc over in this position.
And I love even the Mutas flying up to hit some of those Zealots. Just awesome to see. Very well done from Sulky. Wins game 1, but I don't think Snow is going to be perturbed. It was a pretty good opener from him, but he just barely didn't defend Sulky's all-in.
Okay, guys, we're going to take a short break. Coming up next, we're going to go to Eclipse.
또 한 번 김민철 선수가 4강에
Pick whatever you want
진출했습니다.
out of there to
일단
wear.
4강
I used to
진출한
have a
느낌은
hoodie. I don't know
어떠세요?
what happened
첫
to
시즌
it.
우승했을 때
Fucking dog.
말고 나머지는 좀 수월했던 것 같기는 해요. 기분 좋네요, 일단.
거의 뭐 완벽한 기록을
it's
세워나가고 있는
somewhere
김민철
there,
선수가 고민이 있을까 싶긴 한데 어디 저의 조언이 마음에 드셨는지 안 드셨는지
예. 네.
Alright, hold on.
제
Maybe it's somewhere safer.
고민이라고 하면은 나이가 다 차가지고 방송을 이제 그만뒀을 때 뭘 하면서 살아야 될까?
뭘 해야 할까?
네, 뭘 해야 될까?
뭐 방송이나 게임 말고 본인의 특기나 취미 같은 게 있나요?
없습니다. 네.
혹시
It's a,
배워보고 싶은 거나
아, 근데 사실
It's
그것도
a
없어요.
seasonal tournament, so there's
자
a
그러면
new
일단
game every day.
결정의 신께 한번
제가 여는 건가요?
네 열어주시죠.
열어보겠습니다.
F 모드인가요? T 모드인가요?
저는 팀
Yes,
모드
sir.
가겠습니다.
알겠습니다.
Same
이걸로
tournament,
본인
different
방향으로
game.
가주세요.
감정적일 때 행동을 미룰 것.
감정적일 때 행동을 미룰 걸. 이거는 김민철 선수가 제일 잘하는 거 아닌가요?
근데 이제 그거는 대회 때 그렇고
네.
약간
I'm gonna
진짜
die.
감정적이게.
그래요?
네, 긴장을 하고 있으면은 감정적이지 않은데 긴장을 안 하고 있을 때는 되게 감정적이에요.
그럼 김민철 선수가 살면서 가장 감정적으로 취했던 행동이나
감정적이지가 않은데 게임밖에 없기는 해요. 왜냐면
연애할 때나 뭐 이럴 때
아 근데 그냥 무미건조해요. 약간.
너무 여자친구가 막
I'll give
좋아
you
미쳐버릴 것 같아. 막
Eskimo
이런
beer.
순간.
깨물어 주고 싶다까지는 안 가던데.
그러면 나왔네. 김민철의 진로가.
어떤 거죠?
진짜 한치의 오차도 없이 뭔가 이렇게 해내야 되는 작업들 있죠.
네.
인형 눈 붙이기라던가 이렇게 해야 되는 그런 직업 어때요? 김명훈 선수에게 주식을 좀
망하지 않았나요? 어디서 보면은 성공한 사람 얘기를 듣지 말고 실패한 사람 얘기를 듣으라고 하잖아요. 한번 제가 조언을 한번 얻어보겠습니다.
그렇죠. 왜냐하면 그 주식 같은 것도 감정을 되게 배제해야
네.
하는
맞아요.
그런 되게 고도의
네.
좀 이성적인 기술이잖아요.
그런 것 같아요.
예. 어떻게 저의 조언이 마음에 드셨는지 안 드셨는지.
예. 예.
감사합니다.
왜냐면
감사합니다.
인형 뽑기에서는 솔직히 살짝 실망했는데
네.
주식에 대한 얘기를 했을 때 그래도 뭐 그 정도는.
자, 그러면 이제 다음 고민을 한번 들어볼게요.
4강이라는 데가 당연시되는 느낌? 그런 당연하다고 생각하는 그 인식이 조금 부담스럽기는 해요. 예.
김민철 선수가 가장 당연하게 느끼는 것 같거든요.
그래요? 물론 자신감은 있지만 팬들의 기대감이 있으니까 약간 그런 게 부담스럽기는 하죠.
당신은 이미 답을 알고 있다.
네.
김민철 선수는 이미 답을 알고 있어요. 계속 4강에 난 갈 사람이라는 거. 그래서 사실 솔직히 부담은 아니라는 거.
진짜 솔직하게 얘기할게요.
네.
부담보다는 축하풍을 못 받아요. 축하를 안 해줘요.
그치. 이렇게
당연히 올라가야지.
이렇게 막 극적이지 않으니까.
네. 그래서 저는 그게 너무 아쉬워요.
스코어 자체가 4대1 이래버리면은 그 표정부터 난 이겼다. 약간 이런 느낌이어서 약간 퍼포먼스도 필요해요.
퍼포먼스?
네.
어떤 식으로?
멘탈적으로 흔들리는 약간 표정 연기.
변현저처럼은 안 되겠더라고요.
이 정도까지 어때요? 이 정도까지 약간.
그럼 앞으로 한번 이렇게 고개는 한번 숙여볼게요.
오케이. 그래서 약간 그런 쫄깃한 연출이 가미가 된다면 축하품.
네.
충분히 또 끌어올 수 있다. 자, 그럼 마지막 질문을 좀 받아볼 텐데.
장윤철을 3번 연속 떨어뜨리기가 미안해요.
자, 윤철이를 3번 떨어뜨리는 것에 대한 이 미안함을 어떻게 해소할 수 있을지 한번 도움을 받아보겠습니다. 크게 심호흡한 뒤에 다시 생각해보라. 크게 심호흡한 뒤에 미안한지 진짜 미안한지 다시 생각해보세요.
솔직히 미안하진 않아요. 네. 그냥 말로만.
장윤철 선수가 진짜 이를 갈고 저는 올 것 같거든요.
유영진이 이기고 올라왔으면 좋겠어요 라는 말을 했으면 마음을 편하게 약간 편하게 먹었을 것 같아요. 근데 만나고 싶대요.
맞아요.
저는 진짜 열심히 연습할 거거든요. 그러니까 무조건 이긴다는 생각으로.
네. 장윤철이 저그 전에 이기려면 어떻게 해야 됩니까?
집에서 이겨야죠, 집에서.
알겠습니다.
네.
인터뷰도 확실히 철벽이네요. 제가 뭐 어떻게 뚫어볼 재간이 없습니다. 김민철 선수 4강에 임하는 각오를 끝으로 듣겠습니다.
또 이제 4시즌 연속이잖아요. 욕심을 버릴 때도 됐는데 욕심이 계속 생겨요. 그래서 이번에도 한번 결승 한번 또 진출하고 싶습니다.
네, 김민철 선수 기대하겠습니다.
감사합니다.
We are back. That game one, man. I mean, Sulky, he knows how to stop the game before it really starts,
He does. He's super good at playing a decisive game. That's why he's so scary. He's just got such full range. He'll cheese, he'll turn on the aggression at a drop of a hat like a prime Jaedong, and he plays the best late game macro of everybody. It's like, what? He's just one of the complete players. When you get a player this complete, there's so few, man. It's like Flash and Sulky, and then in StarCraft 2, there's like Serral and Maru, and there's like no one else. That's it.
It's crazy. All right, guys, we're going to go into game number 2. Hopefully, Snow is going to have a cleaner opening and be able to get in the mid game. We're going to find out on the map Eclipse. Okay, Sulky in the top right, Snow in the bottom left. That Lin counterattack, I really can't stop thinking about it.
Yeah.
The idea is that fourth Zealot comes down there, and it's killing drones at the third. It's a problem. And, behind all that, Snow can just zip up his base, close it off, and tech, and probably be pretty comfortable. But the fact that Sulky knew to take what was maybe like 10 Zerglings and just go north immediately. He saw the Zealot doing damage. He did not care. He went exactly up there. And it worked. And here's what's crazy. Snow was making a second cannon. So Snow is sort of aware, okay, there is counterplay here. We got to be kind of careful here. But the fact that he knew to just run in there, run by the Zealots, kill the cannon, and then go in the main, it's like, damn, you are so scary. No other Zerg would do that. Hero would not have done that. Action wouldn't have done that. Queen would not have done that. But Sulky seems to know exactly where the races are at points of the game that other players don't see.
Yeah, and that actually goes back to exactly what I was just saying, where he's very like Flash. Because you can see that in Flash's play. He just understands completely what's going on in the game. To levels other Terran players don't. And that's what we're seeing from Sulky and why he's winning so many championships in a row. You know,
like you just don't have a big link counter attack like that. Yeah, go ahead, Artosis.
I wanted to actually ask you one thing, because this was Snow's first map pick. He wanted to play Eclipse as the first map he chose. Why would that be? Why do you think that is?
Well, I think, you know, Eclipse has a lot of different openings that you can do PvZ that's you know, pretty strong. Like, you know, in this case, he could run around the Overlord and try to do some kind of cheeky cannon rush. The Zerg might be guessing, okay, is this a proxy gate game or not? I guess it's not as common anymore, but I think it's a perfectly fine map PvZ. I think this map, probably even Protoss versus Zerg, but it gets tricky with the bases expanding in two different directions. But, you know, I think he's probably pretty comfortable on this. I think Eclipse is probably the most played map in ASL, or, you know, played out. Like, we've seen more games on it, so it might just be a comfort thing.
Okay. I have to point this out. He opened with Forge. This is the most cannon rushed map. Sulky went hatch first, but he did it at his third base.
Yeah.
So if
and he has an Overlord just sitting on top of that.
Yeah, if he had known that, he would have forced a cancel on it. But he like this is why Sulky's so good.
Well,
he used a mind game there. You think it's cool first when you get there.
You can't kill that with cannons though. That third base, there's nowhere to hide the cannons. In order to win with a cannon rush, you have to have the pylon protecting the warp eating cannons. Now maybe he could have just made cannons like blindly, and the Lings wouldn't have gotten over there. It wouldn't have been spotted. But I think that's why he's just blindly taking the third base. Is he just goes, I'm not even going to deal with this. I'm going to get an inconveniently placed base down here, and move on. And I'll get my third base up at my natural, which is exactly what he did.
Well, I think the thing is, it's like he can't tell that it's hatch first quickly enough to do the cannon rush. If he, like, let's say he just knew if he had map hack, he can just go up, and even if you see the pylon, like, you can't send the drones over and prevent that. It's going to take too long. So I'm just like, I'm kind of shocked that, like, Sulky already has, like, this plan. Like, this is his anti-cannon rush. Is like, oh, you're going to open Forge first? Well, I'm still going hatch first, just out of position.
Yeah. And so for Snow, I mean, he's just still scouting. You're basically trying to see, like, has a layer started? Is there a Hydra den? Anything crazy? Has Link Speed started? And it's not easy to keep that probe alive, but he's been doing a pretty decent job just kind of running around. We're waiting for Snow's cybernetics core to finish, and I think kind of similar to how we saw Best play, where it was like a very specific style for almost all the games. I would imagine we're going to see this from Snow. I think every game it's going to be Stargate, excuse me. Corsairs coming out, either Zealots or DTs, just going for a push. I'd be surprised if we had, you know, a sudden Reaver or a 2-gate in the main or a 2-gate in the middle of the map. I'm suspecting that Snow is going to come in here with kind of a straightforward PvZ style.
Okay. You know, this looks like a pretty normal opener on both sides. Nothing too crazy going on. And coming into this PvZ, I prepped a little bit. I'm like, I got to have some good questions to ask Tasteless, you know, to bring my part of the casting duo into play here as a Terran player. And so I'm gonna start off with the best one I have for today, Tasteless. If these two, Snow and Sulky, became like a casting Archon, would they be Snolky or Snowky? Because we know they wouldn't be so.
They'd be Snolky, I think.
Snolky?
I'm glad you came prepared today. Yeah, Snolky.
Snolky. I like Snolky over Snowky as well. Snolky sounds really cool.
Snolky, you're never going to forget that Archon name. That's and then they would both have to kind of, you know, complain about the Terran matchup when they cast that and be like, well, I don't really know what's going on. We don't really play this race. Like, their TVT cast would be hilarious, man.
The most unbeatable Terran killers from both races. Well, we don't know how Terran functions. They're like, isn't that race just weak? Yeah, I think it is.
So the Corsair is going to come out and try to hit these Overlords. And, you know, he's going to basically scout and see that Sulky is, you know, setting up for a pretty healthy, you know, macro game. I'm really interested that Snow always gets a second cannon. I want to see how many times he does this in the future. A lot of people don't get that second cannon there. And you're supposed to make the bare minimum amount of cannons, you know. Later on in the game, sometimes you have to put about 4 cannons at your entrance because there's Hydra bust timings that you just need to be ready for. You need something shooting at Hydras when you throw storms down. But I'm very interested in the very quick second cannon there. That makes me, if that's what I'm supposed to be doing, the whole early game is going to be a lot easier because it's much harder to kill a Protoss with 2 cannons than 1. I just thought the extra cannon meant like your second gateway would be later or something like that. 2 Hydra dents, by the way.
Speed and range at the same time. Looks like he's trying to scare him off a little bit. Or not scare him off, but catch him off guard a little bit there with how quickly the Hydras are going to be ready. The second cannon that he has there, actually, Tasis, as you say that, is placed back a little bit, which is like a good defense, not just against like Hydra Bus, but like it kind of drags mutas that are trying to hit his natural as well. So it seems like a really cool placement.
Yeah, you definitely want that one a little bit closer to the minerals, just in case. And unless this is a mistake, there are games where we see double tech made. It's pretty rare. But if it is going to happen, it's usually a Zerg player doing it somewhere in the mid-game. I don't know why that is, but yeah, I mean, if he's actually going for range and speed, then he's going to have a lot of really scary Hydras out on the map, able to take some fights that I think you know, Snow's not going to be prepared for. Usually you either see the Hydras are fast, but they don't have range, or they've got long range, but you can chase them down with Zealots. But this is going to be pretty scary.
This, I think, is actually really well planned from Sulky. He's got like his gas really spread out. The first 2 workers in a geyser mine quicker. And look at this, a Zealot comes out, so he just starts moving across the map. This is really surprising. Like, the double Hydralisk Den is making this hit so much faster. You can see Snow is throwing down a ton of cannons here. He's definitely nervous about this push.
Yeah, he's going to try to get up to 7. And it's always a bit painful for the Protoss when they throw those cannons down, because like you really want to get your gateways up, but like you can't afford, obviously, to just be killed off. So the DT is going to be out, but it's not like they were going to be able to get out and go across the map. He's going to run in with these Corsairs. Beautifully done. Takes that out. Second Overlord and a third Overlord going to enter into the mix. The Hydras, because they have both speed and range, can fire over and hit a lot of these cannons over here in the back. The Corsairs are going to come up. Both the Overlords are going to be picked off. Snow is having a near perfect hold, and somehow this Zealot is still alive running around.
Dude, he keeps on bringing in 1 Overlord at a time. I love it. Like, he just has them kind of split up and bringing those in. And look, he's going to be able to get that Forge. We were talking so much before about guarding the Forge. Not this game, though. So that will end up falling, and the Hydras are going to bust down the wall. The Probe's ready to fight if need be.
Okay, he's going to run in. The Probes have to come up to the front. Sometimes you can pop a gateway or a pylon down to kind of get in the way. Dude, is Sulky just going to win this game? Oh my god, he's coming through. A nice storm on the bulk. 2 cannons remain. A third one's about to finish warping in. The dive comes in here from Sulky. That cannon only getting 1 or 2 shots off before it's wiped out. And he's going to come in again. He's going to pop that cannon. A storm comes down here. Corsairs are continuing to murder these Overlords.
Yeah, he's catching a lot that are coming across the map right now. Doesn't quite get that one. Will pull back in time, too, not wasting his Corsairs off too badly. Okay, so suddenly we're looking at this, and Snow's supply is way higher than Sulky's. Is Snow ahead after holding that, or... Because it felt like he actually didn't lose that many probes. It seems like his probe count is, like, pretty insane.
No, I mean, he's making probes this whole time. He's still doing it right now. So he's going to be okay. I don't know that, like, Sulky's screwed here, but yeah, I mean, you see a very sparse amount of drones at each of the mineral patches, right? I mean, it doesn't look like a healthy, functioning base right now. So, I mean, now Snow can finally lay out the rest of his gateways. We see that warping in on the mini-map. And he's going to be pretty fearsome, man, when it's his turn to push.
Definitely looks like it's going to be scary. So Sulky's still here a little bit low as far as those drones go. The Scourge actually going all the way home. Maybe looking to catch any Corsairs rotating on the map. Lots of gates being added. Looks like he's going to 9 gates, if I'm not mistaken, there right away. So heavy, heavy production. I think he's actually nailing it. I think this is exactly that type of situation. But look at this, a switch into the mutas.
Yeah. And this is that very specific style. I think we're all pretty used to it now in PvZ, but he wants to snipe the Templars and basically overpower them with the Hydras. And I think there's 5 Corsairs in that group. You can get up to 5 and stop if there's no Mutalisks out. But usually the idea is that the Hydra bust requires so much of the Protoss' resources and attention, they usually don't have enough Corsairs to fight. Usually you're spending so much money on gas and cannons. Sorry, Templars and cannons is what I meant to say. That, you know, you're not ready for this many mutas to come out here. Now, he's got 5 Corsairs. You might need a couple more. Does he have +1? He does.
Yeah.
So he needs to basically identify this, and Sulky's doing a pretty good job of hiding that.
Yeah, I think he's going to try to bring in the Scourge to flank them, but looks like Soul is... Soul. Soul and Snowkey here. Snow trying to run away with those Corsairs. Like, I think he kind of feels what's going on. The way he's running back, that was like an anti-Scourge run back there. The way he went at the angle to try to make sure the Scourge couldn't just, like, trap him.
Yeah, so he's coming up here now. He's wiping the rest of these few Hydras at the entrance, and the mutas will reveal themselves. Now, if you know this is coming, a Dark Archon can be a great choice, but, you know, I don't know if we're in a game where there's enough time to do that. It's also acceptable to just make more mutas, or sorry, more Corsairs, and just try to, you know, obliterate the Mutalisks when they get close to you.
I think
he has gone up to, what is that, 6 Templars?
Yeah, he has quite a few. I think if you already have that +1, it's pretty good for the Corsairs, right? Like, that's, it seems just add a few more of those and you're going to really wreck.
Well, it can be a bit overkill. I've also seen this, and this might be a new development in how the matchup's being played, but people are just over-making Templars versus mutas.
Yeah.
I think because they know they just need... in a perfect world where you're not losing Templars, you just need 4. 4 is, like, usually 8 storms or more if you have the energy upgrade. It's enough storms that you don't need more. But I guess in this case, when you have a guy who's going to try to kill off all your Templars, if you just send out 6, there's so many targets to kill that, look, probably 3 are going to survive no matter what, right? And then you've got enough to take on the Hydras. Usually when the Protoss dies, it's because all 4 Templars are killed, and you just have this, like, Protoss versus Terran army of Zealots and Dragoons.
Yeah.
And the Hydras are going to just melt that.
Ooh. All right, gets a decent storm down there and does save 5 of his Corsairs, so pushes those mutas back pretty quickly. Of course, has to watch out for this spread of lurkers up here. More lurkers being morphed by Sulky, getting into a very defensive arc. But this looks good for Snow. Like, he's got an insanely big army. He's got a lot of Psy Storms in here, a lot of anti-air. I think Sulky's going to be just rolled over here.
Okay, this is looking really bad here for Sulky. I mean, this push is just going to come in. There's not even sunken colonies here, Artosis.
Yeah.
The lurkers are going to come down. That's always a sign of the last attempt to save the game is all the lurkers that were turtled at the 3rd base or the 4th base are going to suddenly run out here and try to flank from behind. But, like, there's just enough storms in this game that Snow is going to be very, very comfortable.
It looks like he's just going to break everything. He's going to get this macro hatch. All the units coming up are dying. He's sending over his own reinforcements from his main base. A lot of Zealots in there to tank. Still might have another storm almost ready on that last High Templar as well. But, yeah, very little left over for Sulky. Maybe a little bit too aggressive this game.
Yeah, well, he had some cool moves out here. But, yeah, I mean, there's just too much. The push from Snow was way too strong. The Dragoons and Zealots are just going to melt this. And the fact that the Templars were not picked off really in any fashion meant that there was, like, more than enough storms. He was able to storm, like, individual lurkers and stuff that you don't normally see people go for just because, like, he's got it. He might as well spend it. GG, we're going to be tied up 1-1.
All right. Really well played in both games. You know, I think Snow is on top of everything. I think Sulky had good ideas, and they just didn't work out this game.
Yeah.
You know, hey, I don't feel like anyone's playing poorly, I guess is what I'm trying to say here. There's no big flubs. You know, we saw
these guys are
best first light game 1, like best screwed up against the push. He should have won the game, right? And there was the mistake in the loss. Here it feels like a lot of strategy going on and just great play from both sides.
Yeah, I mean, a solid push there from Sulky. From Snow. He comes out of the map, looks very strong. We're gonna get a shot of the Zealot that came across the map, and I didn't really see how the Zealot even got out. I'm kind of confused. This Zealot somehow like maneuvered through everything.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Like scouted the main. It was like down in the natural, killing drones. I'm like, how long is this Zealot gonna be in the game? This is crazy. Yeah, I guess he just right-clicked it right up there. And by the way, the timing of this is so sharp. Like, Snow is 100% in the right to throw down as many cannons as he can afford here. Snow did a perfect job of hitting these Overlords. Just buying, like, literally a few extra seconds is huge. And he even very deliberately shoved his Zealots